Well, I'm back and been away. I think, as if people saw my previous video, been away for a bit of surgery, so quite a scar, quite a big scar, but it's healing quite well. So thanks for all the people who sent me messages. But it's a month, 6 weeks since I last recorded, and I'm much better. So thanks very much. And I'm out on this beautiful, beautiful autumnal day, and you might have just seen a board behind me there. It's a piece of ancient woodland in Snowdonia National Park, and you might be able to hear the leaves under my foot. Two reasons I'm here. One, hoping to see some nice it's kind of autumn colours, just crossing a bit of a stream there. So hopefully there's a circular walk I'm going to try. Hopefully find some nice autumnal colours amongst the trees that I can take some shots. But also there's a waterfall, so follow this river up through a gorge, and there's a waterfall called the Black Falls, and I'm hoping the combination of the falls and autumn colours turns into something positive. And in my last video I talked about my kind of operation. So if you didn't see my last video, I had a basal cell carcinoma, which is a form of skin cancer, unfortunately. Had to have that removed, so it's gone. But I also talked about my sorry, I just got a gate to get through. My incident with my filter, so I broke a filter, and the people from 84.5 watched the film and they sent me a new filter, so I've got the new filter, so thank you very much, appreciate it. But anyway, I'm going to follow this gorge up, and I'm assuming it will climb and see what the falls are like, and see if I see any trees on the way to get some autumn colours. I'll see you soon. Oh, I can tell I haven't been out for a while. Oh, it's quite steep. To be fair, it's quite steep, but I have been doing quite a lot of walking, but all at home, and live near the coast, so it's predominantly flat. But my recuperation has involved walking, but nothing steep. But anyway, this really is an ancient woodland, and apparently there's some stones in the woodland with Roman writing on, to give you an indication. But I wanted to start, I saw this and just wanted to show you, to give you an indication of what it's like. I don't know if you can see though. Look at the ferns growing on this tree. Now that tree, well, there's a big cracked branch, but you only get that in ancient forest. Ferns and moss growing, incredible. And I imagine in the spring this place must be full of kind of redstart and wood warbler and stuff like that. So I'm motoring on and trying to get to the falls, and I imagine, because it's a circular route, the better light will be on the second half of the circle, because at the moment the sun is kind of over to my right, shining that way. So hopefully what the route does is goes up and round, and then I'll get hopefully some light coming through behind me when I'm on the home leg, as it were. But I just wanted to show you that tree with the ferns on, give you an indication of kind of, it's proper rainforest. It's managed by the Woodland Trust, so just thought I'd share that with you. Well, I made it to the falls. In fact, the path runs up along quite a steep gorge, and there are some quite impressive falls in the gorge, and you have to come down off the path, kind of almost vertical, but you're in the gorge, and the falls are impressive, but I couldn't find a way to photograph them. But I had my suspicions from looking at the map that if I followed up the river, so the gorge finishes and then it kind of plateaus out a little bit, although this it's still relatively steep sided, but it's not the sharp V. And I found this pool with obviously the falls coming just round the corner there, nice shape. So I'm trying to get a composition. One of the challenges, it's a good thing, because I think I think this is managed by the Woodland Trust. They don't chop loads of stuff down, so kind of there's lots of branches kind of in the way, which is good for nature, but kind of a little bit distracting for a composition. So I've left my bag kind of just over through the trees there, and I've worked my way around. Everything is slippy and wet, so I left my bag and just brought my camera over to try and get kind of as low as possible to the water, looking across to the falls. And I'll show you the, oh, got my foot stuck in a bramble as well, lots of brambles about. Ooh. So I'll show you the composition. So obviously got this kind of big area taken up by the pools, and then the fall in the distance on the rule of thirds. And what I'm trying to do is hopefully get the bottom of the falls about halfway through the image, and then you create like it's almost like a number 3 almost. But I've gone, I'm on f/22, and I'll explain why in a second, but I'll take that image and then I'll show you how it's coming out. So that was a 5-second exposure. So I'll just show you. It's quite nice. Kind of the pools have flattened out. You've got almost like letter 3. But the reason I'm on f/22 is to try and get a long shutter speed. So I've got my, thank you very much to 84.5 again for sending me the new filter. So I've got a filter in, because you might be able to see up above the falls, the sun is shining on those trees and on the sky. So I want to take that brightness off. But I've actually, I've zoomed in quite a bit. I'll show you. So this is the kind of wide open view, which there's too much distraction, I think. I've taken a couple of images like that, but then I've gone in tighter to get kind of that sort of image. I think the composition's a little bit better. I'm going to take that image, leave that to take. But I've noticed there's a load of leaves, autumnal leaves, kind of captured in the pool there, so I'm going to go and try and take that as well. But it's hard to know what is solid ground and what is just leaves covering water, so I think that's pretty deep, and what I don't want to do is stand in and sink up to my hips. But yeah, it'd be quite, I tried setting up there, but that tree is in the way. But I'm going to try and get, there's some leaves. I've got to go the long way around, so I've got to go round that way. But there's some leaves and some rocks there. But then I think I might be able to get over there somewhere. That'd be quite nice shooting across that way, if I can manage that without slip sliding. But lovely, lovely blue sky. So, and then the sun goes in as I blue sky. Just a passing cloud. Oh, what the things we do. So just turn that off a second. So I've come here. I mentioned those the leaves, so you can see all these leaves have gathered, and that's a really deep bit. So you can see how, if you weren't really paying attention, you could step on that thinking it's ground, but it's actually quite deep. But the reason I'm laughing is, sorry, I'll have to show you my legs. I apologise in advance. So I'm sat on this bit of branch. I've got one leg over there, one leg over here on my tripod. It's not very comfortable. I can feel my hamstrings straining. But it's because I'm trying to get an image with these leaves, these rocks leading to the waterfall and up. But the branch is really sticking in my backside as well. So this is I'll show you so I've got these leaves in the foreground with the rocks. The leaves finish on about the rule of thirds, and then kind of the waterfalls in the distance. The challenge bit here is there's incredible bright sky and then really dark around the waterfall. So even though I've got a kind of a filter in taking some of that brightness off, it can't deal with that. Whoa! It can't. I thought I was in then. It can't deal with that kind of real contrast. Partly because at the moment it's not blue sky, it's cloud. So the sun's shining on the cloud, making it bright white, and that's making it challenging. So I'll take a couple of exposures, one for the sky, one for the waterfall, and then one for these rocks. But I'm also waiting see if there's some blue sky comes over, because obviously blue sky isn't as bright as cloud. But I'm focused, just so you're aware, focused on not these big rocks here, but the rocks that are kind of the end bit of the rocks. So I hope you can see there's kind of 3 rocks sticking up. I'm focused on there. I'm on F22 and that'll give me enough depth of field, but I'm just going to, if this branch holds, it's a bit, if it goes, I'm wet. But I'm just waiting for the blue skies to come over, or my hamstring to rip, one or the other. Well, it pays to look behind you. So I've come away from the waterfall. I thought I'd come up into the woods and see if I can get some colours, and there's some nice colours in the trees. But I actually walked through that building. I walked in the door just with my phone and took some photos, and then I was about to walk off, and I just turned around and saw lovely colours on the trees up there. So I've got a composition of someone coming walking the dog. Got a composition here with a house, and I'm pretty pleased with it. So I'm going to do that, and I'll pause a minute while I say hello to this dog. So dog walker's gone past. So anyway, as I say, I've gone for a portrait because the trees lend themselves. They're nice, kind of straight trunk trees. So here's the. I'll show you. Kind of got the house here. In fact, I might just tilt back a little bit. I don't know. There might. I'm not sure. There might be too much grass in the foreground. But I'm hoping what I get is an image with. I'm going to do a little bit of jiggery pokery because I'll need to do, I think, a bit of kind of double exposure blending on that. But yeah, I'd walked past, turned around and looked and thought, oh, and now I'm looking that way and wondering whether I can get an image just looking down through those trees. Probably not. There's a log, a tree trunk down here, but it's obviously been sawn, and if it was a natural fall and there were branches, it might be a nice leading line, but for me it's a bit too artificial. So I might take a couple more here and then have a bit more of a wander down through the woods. That's the first person, the guy walking a dog is the first person I've seen since I've been here. Oh, and I forgot to say, on my way down through Snowdonia, snow on the peaks, so I've got my shorts on, but snow on the tops, just a little bit, just a dusting, but a bit of snow. Well, there we go, a full circle. So I started off, went that way, and I've come back down that way. So if we look at it's kind of a big loop. I actually went up there and down there, so I enjoyed that. So I thought the waterfalls were great, quite photogenic, quite hard to get to, if I'm honest. Slippy, but loads of brambles, which I think is great because it means the forest isn't being artificially managed to look pretty for people. It's natural. So, but yeah, it was a bit dicey. So lots of slippy rocks and slippy logs and that type of stuff. I think I'm probably a week or two beyond the best of the forest. So lots of the leaves are down. We've had lots and lots of heavy wind in the last week or so. So I think that's taken down lots of the leaves. Plus, as you can see behind me, the sun is over the side of the hill. So a lot of it was in shade. I took some images in the forest, but definitely a place to come back to. So just got to head back to my car and then drive home. So hope you enjoyed the trip. I did. And maybe next one there'll be some snow. Who knows?